Hello wine lovers! My name is Natalie Noryd and I'm a sommelier based here in wonderful Copenhagen, where I specialize in both private and corporate wine tastings. Welcome to the very first episode of the Great Wine Experience wine blog, where we will explore all things wine. As the subject of my first blog, I thought it fitting to begin with how to taste wine. Our venue today is this exciting Nordic design gallery called the Embark. It is located in the beautiful and rugged area of Copenhagen called Holmen. We are surrounded by canals, charming houseboats and historical buildings on all sides. The gallery is host to about 30 Nordic interior design brands. It is a wonderful space and the venue for most of my wine tastings. Now let's get some wine into a glass. Today we will go with this delicious wine from Jerez de Altes in Terra Alta, Spain. Let's open the bottle. After uncorking the wine, you can check the cork to see that it is all one piece. This is to make sure that there are no remnants of the cork inside the wine. Then you can take a sniff at the part of the cork that has been in contact with the wine. This is to check that the wine is not off. Of course, you always have to taste the wine to be absolutely certain. It is important from the get-go to say that there is no right or wrong way to taste and indeed enjoy wine. Wine tasting as a sensory experience is above all very subjective. The enjoyment of wine is yours to experience as you wish. That said, it is possible to get a better and more varied experience as you gain more knowledge of the sensory possibilities the wonderful world of wine has to offer. It is a common belief that wine tasting is all about taste buds. In actual fact, wine tasting is a broader sensory experience where all your senses more or less come into play. Your sense of smell is of enormous importance, as is your sight and the actual sensation in your mouth. Now, let's pour some wine. When tasting a wine, you want to pour a little bit into the glass. Typically about a third of what you would pour during, say, dinner or a night out with friends. The reason for this is to give the wine plenty of space to spread its aromas. And you also want to be able to swirl the wine. The first step in tasting wine is to use our sense of sight. You want to hold the glass by the stem so that you can see the wine clearly. Perhaps tilt the glass a bit downwards. What we are looking for here is the color of the wine and the intensity of the color. Ideally, you're in a room with a lot of good natural light, which basically disqualifies every single cozy restaurant or wine bar that you have ever been to. If it is difficult to see the color, you can place a white napkin underneath. The most common color for white wine is known as lemon, and for red, ruby. A deep-colored wine tends to be more full-bodied and more intense in flavor than a light-colored wine. The second thing we're looking for is the viscosity. Lift the glass up in front of you and swirl the wine gently. The viscosity is demonstrated by the wine clinging to the sides of the glass, also known as legs or tears. The legs inform us as to the content of alcohol or residual sugar in the wine. The thicker and more persistent the legs are, the more alcohol or sugar there is. Now, let's talk about swirling. You might have wondered why some people swirl wine. Other than to look fancy, it is actually quite an integral part of tasting wine. Swirling spreads the wine to a larger surface inside the glass, releasing the aromas of the wine. At the same time, we're also aerating the wine, exposing the wine to oxygen, which releases and develops both the aromas and flavors. The first time you want to swirl, start by placing the glass on a table. You want to hold the glass by the stem, as you would hold a pencil. Then gently draw small, quick circles on the table. Notice how the wine moves inside the glass. As you feel more comfortable, lift the glass up in front of you, still drawing circles. You can even try to relax the wrist a bit. Now you have a good swirl. We are now ready to go ahead and smell the wine. It is a good idea to go back and forth between swirling and smelling. You want to smell the wine as you would when smelling a flower. Hold the glass by the stem and lift it up to your nose and smell gently first and then deeply. You can even close your eyes to focus completely on the wine. Try to catch all the fine aromas there might be. When describing a wine, You can use references from our daily lives, for example, fruit, herbs, flowers, vegetables, spices, or even dairy products. Let your imagination wander. There are no limits as to how you can describe a wine. Finally, we are now ready to taste the wine. Take a sip. Not too small, but not a mouthful either. Spread the wine around inside the mouth by gargling and almost chewing the wine, spreading the wine to all corners of your mouth. This is to make sure that you get as much information as possible out of the wine. To get even more out of the wine, you can aerate the wine while inside the mouth. This is done by sucking air into the mouth, creating a slurping sound, adding even more oxygen to the wine, releasing even more flavors. This requires a bit of practice, but you will soon get the hang of it. The first thing we notice on the palate is whether a wine is dry, sweet, or something in between. The simplest way to tell the difference is that a dry wine is the opposite of a sweet wine. Then we notice all the flavors. Flavors are described in the same way as the aromas. The aromas and flavors are usually quite similar, but there are times when they can be rather different. And now to the actual sensation in the mouth. We are looking for viscosity, body, structure, tannins, acidity, alcohol, and in the case of sparkling wines, bubbles. A full-bodied wine feels thick and creamy, whereas a light-bodied wine feels thin and more watery. The acidity is detected on the sides of the tongue, creating a sharp tingling sensation. Acidity also makes your mouth water as it tries to restore its natural acid balance. Now the time has come to either swallow the wine or spit it out. At a restaurant, you're most likely to swallow the wine, whereas at a wine tasting, it is normal to spit it out into a bucket. The reason why you spit out during a wine tasting is to avoid dulling your senses and clouding your judgment, otherwise known as being hammered. After swallowing or spitting, you have the aftertaste, also known in the wine world as the finish. If the taste lingers, one can term the wine as having a long finish, whereas if the taste quickly fades away, it is termed as a short finish. The aftertaste or finish is an important factor when analyzing the complexity and quality of a wine. It is a good idea to go back to smell the wine again after tasting it. Your experience might be different the second time. So, these are the basic tools that I personally use when tasting wine. I hope you will find those useful on your great wine experience. Most important is to remember to enjoy wine and share your experience with others. I look very much forward to going deeper into the areas that we have explored today, and many more in the very near future. I hope you have enjoyed this short journey with me. Feel free to hit subscribe, and I will let you know as soon as the next great wine experience is online. And remember, wine is the only art that you actually can drink.